Your heart is pounding, your mind is racing, and a wave of pressure is closing in. This feeling is ancient, yet the solution is too. Ancient Stoic warriors faced far greater stakes with a profound and fearless composure, thanks to a set of deliberate mental rituals now largely forgotten. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius wrote of building an inner citadel that no external storm could ever breach. This is not a history lesson. We are unearthing a practical toolkit designed for the battles you face right now. By the end of this, you will possess a complete system of psychological techniques to cultivate unshakable calm under extreme pressure. What were the exact mental exercises a commander used to steady his nerves before a fight? How did they train to see disaster not as a threat, but as fuel? Which single forgotten practice can immediately change how you react to stress today? What does true courage look like when everything is on the line? The first ritual was a deliberate confrontation with worst-case scenarios. This is the Premeditatio Malorum, the Premeditation of Evils. It was never about passive worrying. It was a proactive mental exercise, a form of psychological inoculation. By systematically visualizing potential losses, setbacks, and difficulties in vivid detail, a Stoic warrior would build a powerful immunity to the shock of adversity. The philosopher Seneca wrote extensively on this, advising us to anticipate that our wealth could vanish, our reputations could be tarnished, and our loved ones could be taken from us. This sounds grim, but its purpose is profoundly liberating. It strips future hardships of their terrifying element of surprise. Picture a Roman general the night before a great battle. He does not distract himself with false hopes or blind optimism. Instead, he sits in his tent and mentally walks through the chaos of the coming day. He visualizes the noise, the confusion, the line breaking. He feels the fear, accepts the possibility of defeat, and even contemplates his own death. By doing this, he is not inviting disaster. He is draining it of its emotional power. When the sun rises and the battle begins, nothing he encounters is truly new. His mind has already been there. He faces the reality with a clarity and calmness that his unprepared enemies cannot fathom. What is one future challenge you can mentally rehearse today to diminish its power over you? That powerful immunity to shock was forged by another ritual, a mental discipline that acted as the gatekeeper of your mind. This is the discipline of assent, the crucial pause between receiving an impression and giving it your consent. For a Stoic warrior, an impression was not the truth. It was merely a first draft of reality, often distorted by fear or desire. The philosopher Epictetus taught that we are not carried away by the events themselves, but by our judgments about them. This discipline is the practice of inserting a moment of space between a triggering event and your reaction. It is in that sliver of time that true composure is born. Consider the moment a soldier on watch sees a shadow move in the distance. His initial, raw impression screams, "Enemy ambush." Without this discipline, that impression would instantly hijack his body, flooding him with panic, perhaps causing him to sound a false alarm. But with trained assent, he pauses. He withholds his agreement from that first terrifying judgment. He examines it. He looks again, more carefully, and realizes the shadow is just a deer moving through the brush. By not assenting to the initial appearance, he prevented a cascade of unnecessary fear and a potentially disastrous mistake. You face a modern version of this every day. You open your email and see a message from your boss with a terse subject line. Your immediate impression might be, I am in trouble, or they are angry with me. That judgment, if accepted without question, instantly creates a knot of anxiety in your stomach. The discipline of assent asks you to catch that thought at the door. To pause and say, this is just an appearance. I will not be swept away by it until I have examined the facts. You open the email and read it calmly, discovering it was simply written in a hurry, with no negative intent at all. When was the last time an initial, unchecked judgment caused you a wave of unnecessary stress? How much different would that moment have been if you had possessed the tools to simply pause and question that first impression? As the sun dipped below the horizon, the Stoic warrior's day was not yet over. He would retreat to a quiet space for the most introspective ritual of all, the evening review. This was not a casual replay of the day's events, but a rigorous and systematic audit of his own actions, thoughts, and reactions. Its sole purpose was to identify where he had strayed from his principles and to fortify his composure for the challenges to come. In his letters, Seneca was a strong advocate for this practice, advising that we should subject our days to cross-examination. He wrote of questioning himself each night, asking where he had been at fault, what he had done, and what duty he had left undone. Imagine reviewing a difficult conversation you had earlier. Instead of stewing in anger or self-pity, you would calmly dissect the exchange. Did you speak from a place of ego or from reason? Did you react defensively to a criticism, failing to see the potential truth within it? Did you allow someone else's negative mood to dictate your own? This review is not an exercise in self-condemnation, but in objective learning. It is how you sand down the rough edges of your character, day by day. Every misstep identified is a lesson absorbed, making you a little wiser, a little more resilient for tomorrow. So as you reflect on your own day, ask yourself this pivotal question. What 3 things from today would you do differently with a Stoic mindset? Stoics train to see events not as good or bad, but simply as they are. This crucial practice was called objective representation, the act of stripping away the loud, emotional labels we slap onto reality. It is the mental discipline of peeling back the layers of your own judgment to observe the bare facts of a situation. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself of this in his private writings, urging himself to see things in their naked truth, to strip away the legend that encrusts them. For a warrior, this skill was a matter of life and death. Imagine a Roman centurion receiving a report that a key supply route has been cut off by a sudden storm. An untrained mind would immediately label this a catastrophe, a disastrous turn of events. Panic would set in, clouding judgment, but a Stoic warrior would pause and break the event down to its objective components. The storm happened, the route is temporarily impassable, the supplies are delayed. These are the facts, devoid of hysterical commentary. By refusing to call it a disaster, he frees his mind to focus on the only thing that matters, the solution. He can now calmly assess alternative routes, ration existing supplies, and maintain the morale of his men, all because he saw the event for what it was, not what his fear screamed it was. Your life is filled with similar storms. A project at work gets cancelled. The initial judgment is that this is a terrible failure, a personal setback. But what is the objective representation? The project is no longer proceeding. That is the fact. The story you tell yourself about what that means, the judgment of failure, is the source of your anguish, not the event itself. Can you recall a recent event you labeled as bad that you could reinterpret in a more neutral, factual light? This is not about cold detachment, but about reclaiming the power you give away every time you let a raw impression write the story. Marcus Aurelius would often close his eyes and perform a mental ritual he called the view from above. He would deliberately pull his consciousness back, soaring upward in his mind until he could see the entire world laid out beneath him. From this cosmic vantage point, the bustling cities were reduced to ant hills, and the vast oceans became mere puddles. He saw his own life, his struggles, and the Roman Empire itself as fleeting specks in the immense sweep of time and space. This was not an escape from reality, but a tool for achieving profound perspective. Think of a battlefield commander climbing to the top of a nearby hill. From the ground, the clash of armies is all-consuming, a chaotic and terrifying storm of metal and sound. But from the hilltop, the battle transforms into a single, small movement within a much larger landscape. The commander sees the forests, the rivers, the distant villages untouched by the conflict. This expanded view does not make his decisions less important, but it drains the situation of its hysterical intensity, allowing for clearer, calmer judgment. Your own worries operate on the same principle. The project deadline that feels like a life or death situation, the conflict with a colleague that consumes your thoughts, how large do these truly loom when you pull back the camera? How does your current biggest worry look when viewed from the perspective of your whole life, or even from the grand stage of human history? It is likely to shrink from a monster into a manageable event, one of many you have already weathered and will overcome. This mental zooming out is a direct antidote to the myopia of panic, a way to reclaim the spaciousness of mind that a Stoic warrior relied upon to see things as they truly are. The Stoic warrior's secret was not just to endure fate, but to love it. This is Amor Fati, the love of one's fate, and it represents the ultimate shift from passive acceptance to active, enthusiastic embrace. It is the decision to see every single event, every obstacle, and every setback not as a disruption to your path, but as an essential part of the path itself. The philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche, who drew deeply from Stoic wells, later captured this spirit perfectly when he wrote that his formula for human greatness is Amor Fati, the desire for nothing to be different, not in the future, not in the past, not for all eternity. This is not mere resignation, it is a profound affirmation. Think of a skilled sailor on the open sea. He does not curse the wind when it shifts against him. He does not waste his energy fighting the current. Instead, he learns the art of tacking. He adjusts his sails and uses that very same contrary wind to propel him forward, often in a more creative and resilient direction than he had originally planned. The obstacle becomes the way, the setback becomes the setup for a new strength. A Stoic warrior who was wounded in battle would not see it as a tragedy to be mourned, but as a test of his fortitude, a chance to prove his character in recovery, and perhaps a lesson that would save his life in a future encounter. Your own life is filled with these contrary winds. That project cancellation we discussed earlier under Amor Fati is not a failure, it is a redirection. It is an opportunity to develop new skills, to reconsider your direction, or to build resilience you did not know you possessed. So take a moment now and identify one recent difficulty you have faced. Then challenge yourself to list 3 potential ways this event, exactly as it happened, could secretly be serving your growth. This single act of reframing can transform a source of frustration into a wellspring of power. This inner fortress is your final line of defense against chaos. The Stoics called this the inner citadel, a mental stronghold you consciously build and retreat into, a place where the shouts of the outside world fade into a distant murmur. Marcus Aurelius wrote of this sanctuary, describing it as a citadel of the mind that no external storm could ever breach. This was not a physical escape, but a profound psychological maneuver. It is the practiced ability to withdraw into your own ruling reason, your core self, where your true power and peace reside, completely untouched by circumstance. Think of it as a quiet room deep inside yourself that you can enter at any moment, closing the door on the noise and pressure. A modern application might be during a stressful, gridlocked commute. Instead of letting the honking horns and frustration dictate your mood, you take a deliberate mental step inward. You focus on your breath, you observe the chaos outside as if through a thick pane of glass, and you reconnect with your own calm center. The traffic jam is still there, but its power to agitate you is gone. You have withdrawn into your citadel. So where is your own inner citadel? And what simple practices can help you access that unshakable calm when you feel under siege? At the very heart of this entire system lies a single, foundational question. What is truly within my power? This is the core of the dichotomy of control, a ritual of constant mental sorting that allows a Stoic warrior to focus their energy with surgical precision. The philosopher Epictetus opens his manual, the Enchiridion, with this very distinction. He states that some things are up to us and some things are not up to us. Our own judgments, our impulses, our desires, and our aversions, these are within our control. Everything else, from our reputation and our wealth to the actions of other people and the weather, is not. This is not a suggestion, but a practical tool for daily use. Imagine a farmer in ancient times looking at the sky, worried about an approaching storm. He cannot control the clouds or the rain. That lies outside his sphere of power. But what is within his control? He can secure his tools, reinforce his shelters, and ensure his family is safe. By focusing all his effort on that inner circle of control, he transforms anxiety into purposeful action. He is no longer a victim of the weather, but an active agent in his own preparation. You perform a version of this every time you have a crucial meeting. You cannot control the mood of your colleagues, the questions they will ask, or the final decision they will make. These are externals, but you can control your preparation, the clarity of your presentation, and your own professional conduct. By pouring your energy into that inner domain, you step into any situation with a bedrock of confidence because you are anchored in what you can actually influence. So take a moment for a ruthless audit of your own mind. What are you currently expending energy on that lies entirely outside your control? The opinion of a stranger, a delayed flight, a past mistake you cannot undo. Every ounce of worry you dedicate to these externals is energy stolen from the one place where you can actually make a difference, your own choices and actions right now. That inner citadel, that focus on what you control, is built not in comfort but through deliberate, self-chosen hardship. The Stoics called this voluntary discomfort, a ritual of periodically and intentionally making your life a little more difficult to forge an unbreakable resilience. They understood that a life of constant ease creates a fragile mind, one that shatters at the first sign of genuine adversity. To inoculate themselves against the shock of future misfortune, they would practice it in small, manageable doses. The Roman philosopher Seneca, a man of immense wealth, would regularly experiment with living in poverty. He would sleep on a hard bed, wear simple clothing, and eat only the most basic food for days at a time. His purpose was not self-punishment but liberation. He wanted to prove to himself through direct experience that he could thrive without his luxuries. He was building a profound confidence that came from knowing that even if he lost everything, his peace of mind would remain intact. Picture a warrior on a long march. He has a full water skin, but he chooses to take only a small sip, pushing through the thirst. He is training his body, yes, but more importantly, he is training his mind to endure lack without complaint. He is proving to himself that his will is stronger than his discomfort. This practice strips the future of its power to intimidate you. When a real hardship comes, like a financial setback or a period of intense stress, it feels familiar. You have already been there by choice, and you know the path through it. Your comfort zone is like a muscle. If you never stretch it, it becomes tight and weak, prone to injury at the slightest strain. But when you voluntarily push it, you expand its limits, making it robust and adaptable. So the question for you is a practical one, a direct challenge. What minor comfort can you voluntarily forego this week to strengthen your resolve? Could it be taking a colder shower, skipping a meal and feeling the hunger, walking instead of driving for a short errand, choosing to do a difficult task without your usual coffee? This is not about deprivation for its own sake, but about the quiet power you reclaim when you prove to yourself that you are the master of your desires, not their servant. Before a single word leaves your lips, there is a space of immense power. The Stoic warrior cultivated the ritual of intentional silence, a deliberate pause that created a buffer between a raw impulse and a reasoned response. In that quiet moment, the heat of emotion cools and the clarity of thought can take command. The Stoics placed immense value on measured speech, viewing careless words as a sign of an undisciplined mind. Epictetus warned that we have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen more than we speak. This practice was not about being timid or withdrawn, but about exercising sovereign control over your own voice. Picture a ship's captain navigating a sudden, violent storm. The crew is looking to him, their fear palpable. If he immediately starts shouting frantic orders, he only amplifies the panic. But if he stands firm for a long, silent moment, observing the waves and the wind, his very calm becomes a command. That silence is not empty, it is full of authority. It projects a message of unshakable control, giving everyone else the permission to steady their own nerves. In your own life, this might look like receiving a harsh, unfair criticism. The immediate impulse is to fire back with a defensive retort to prove you are right. But if you force a pause, if you breathe into that silence, you break the chain reaction. You create an opening to ask a clarifying question instead of launching a counterattack, to respond from a place of principle rather than wounded pride. In what situations do you find it most difficult to pause and embrace silence, and what might you gain from doing so? That moment of restraint could be the very thing that transforms a potential conflict into a moment of mutual understanding. Remember, you must die. This is Memento Mori, the most grounding of all the Stoic rituals. Far from a morbid fixation, it was a powerful tool to sharpen life's focus and ignite purposeful action. Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself each morning that he would meet ingratitude, insolence, and deceit, but he could still do good, for he would soon be gone, and the opportunity for virtue with him. His constant awareness of death was not a source of dread, but a filter for irrelevance. It forced a brutal, beautiful clarity onto every decision. Picture a legionary standing in the front line, the enemy charge mere heartbeats away. He does not have time for indecision or petty fears. The reality of his mortality in that instant crystallizes his purpose. He acts with a pure, unhesitating courage, not because he is unafraid, but because his limited time demands that his actions matter. This practice transforms procrastination into urgency and trivial drama into silent background noise. If you knew this week was your last, what trivial concerns would you immediately discard? The minor insult you have been holding onto, the unimportant task you have been putting off, the fear of what others might think, all of it would evaporate, leaving only what is truly essential. Memento Mori is the ultimate prioritization tool, a daily reminder that your time is the one non-renewable resource, and every moment spent on anything less than what is true and important is a moment wasted. The Stoics saw the cosmos not as a collection of separate things, but as a single, breathing entity, a vast and interconnected organism they called Sympathy. In this living universe, every person, every event, and every falling leaf was a thread woven into the same grand tapestry, all guided by a universal reason. To contemplate this was to perform a ritual of perspective, one that dissolved the illusion of isolation and shrank the ego down to its proper size. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself of his place in this whole, writing that what does not benefit the hive does not benefit the bee. For a warrior, this was a profound shift in consciousness. It transformed a soldier standing in a muddy trench from an isolated individual fearing for his own life into a vital cell in the body of his legion, a guardian of the empire itself. His personal fear was not erased, but it was put in its place, overshadowed by a sense of duty to the larger organism he served. This cosmic view makes our personal dramas feel smaller, not by diminishing us, but by placing us inside a story far greater than our own. Your own challenges are part of this same fabric. That difficult project at work is not just your burden, it is a single function within the health of your entire team or company. The conflict in a relationship is a momentary friction between two parts of a shared life, so take your most pressing personal challenge right now. How does its weight change when you see yourself not as a lone struggler, but as an integral part of a larger family, community, or purpose? This shift from me to we is the final piece of the Stoic warrior's composure, the understanding that your strength is never yours alone, but drawn from the entire universe you call home. This final ritual is perhaps the most challenging and the most liberating. It is the deep, unwavering trust that the universe is not a chaotic accident, but a rational and benevolent order. The Stoics called this Providence, and for a warrior, it was the ultimate act of surrender to a purpose greater than his own limited understanding. The early Stoic philosopher Cleans wrote a beautiful hymn to Zeus, describing the cosmos as a perfectly arranged whole, where even apparent hardships serve a divine and logical plan. To practice this was to see every single event, especially the difficult ones, as necessary threads in a tapestry whose full beauty you could not yet perceive. Think of being a passenger on a ship in a ferocious storm. The waves are colossal, the wind is screaming, and you are terrified. You cannot see the skilled helmsman at the wheel fighting to navigate the tempest. From your limited vantage point below deck, it feels like pure chaos, a random assault. But if you could somehow know with absolute certainty that the helmsman was the most capable in the world, that he had a map you could not see, and that his every action was calculated to bring the ship to safety, your entire experience would transform. The fear would not vanish, but the frantic resistance would. Your terror would be replaced by a grim, steady trust. This is the ritual of Providence. It is choosing to believe in the helmsman when you are in the belly of the ship. It is the recognition that your judgment is imperfect. Your view is limited to a single, storm-tossed moment, while the cosmos operates on a timescale and with a wisdom you cannot fathom. A Stoic warrior who suffered a defeat did not see it as a meaningless tragedy. He saw it as a necessary lesson, a strategic withdrawal ordained by the logos of the universe to prepare him for a greater victory or to spare him from a worse fate he could not foresee. This trust actively cultivates acceptance and dramatically reduces the exhausting internal struggle against reality. It asks you to stop arguing with what is. So now, bring this into your own life. Can you identify a single event from your past that seemed overwhelmingly negative at the time, a genuine setback or a heartbreak that you can now look back on and see as a crucial turning point that led you to a better place? That painful job rejection that forced you into a more fulfilling career path, that ended relationship that created the space for a truer love to enter your life. In hindsight, the helmsman's course becomes clear. The practice of Providence is about granting that same trust to the storms you are in right now, believing that even now, a skilled hand is on the wheel. Even in the midst of hardship, the Stoic warrior carved out space for gratitude. This was not a simple thank you for pleasant things, but a deep and deliberate practice of fortitude. It was a daily ritual of acknowledging every benefit received, especially the hidden ones, to forge a mindset that could not be broken by circumstance. In his letters, Seneca wrote of giving thanks not only for obvious gifts but for the very challenges that strengthened his character. He understood that gratitude reframes your entire reality, turning what you lack into an obsession with what you already possess. This practice actively builds resilience by anchoring you in a foundation of abundance, even when the world feels scarce. Think of a soldier on a long, grueling march. His feet are sore, his pack is heavy, and the rain is relentless. An untrained mind would fixate on the misery, but a Stoic warrior, through this ritual, might instead feel a profound gratitude for the strength in his legs that carries him, for the comrades marching beside him, for the simple fact that he is alive to feel the rain at all. This shift does not change the reality of the march, but it completely transforms his experience of it. He finds fuel where others see only exhaustion. You can apply this today in a surprisingly powerful way. Mentally thank a person who challenges you, a difficult colleague or a demanding critic. See them not as an obstacle, but as a whetstone sharpening your patience and your skill. Their resistance is making you stronger, so right now take that simple step. List 3 things you typically take for granted that you can feel genuinely grateful for today. The roof over your head, the air in your lungs, the simple device you are using to hear these words. This act of conscious appreciation is a quiet rebellion against despair, a way to reclaim the unshakable composure that sees every moment as a gift. There is a profound power in seeing your own life from the outside. The Stoics practiced a form of mental detachment they called cognitive distancing, the ritual of stepping back from your immediate circumstances to observe them with the calm, objective eye of an external advisor. This is the view from the outside, a deliberate shift in perspective that instantly drains a situation of its emotional charge. It is the practical application of examining your impressions before you assent to them. When you are caught in the storm of a crisis, your view is limited to the crashing waves right in front of you. But when you mentally step back, you see the entire coastline, the pattern of the storm, and the calm waters waiting beyond it. Think about a moment of intense work stress, a project that feels like it is falling apart. Your heart is racing, your thoughts are tangled, and the pressure feels immense. Now perform the ritual. Imagine your closest friend came to you describing this exact scenario with the same deadlines and the same problems. What would your advice be? You would likely see the situation with instant clarity. You might tell them that one missed deadline is not a career ender, that they have overcome bigger challenges before, or that they should just focus on the very next step instead of the entire mountain. The solution becomes obvious because you are not trapped inside the emotional noise of their experience. Your own judgment is not clouded by the fear of personal failure. So turn that question inward. What specific, clear-headed advice would you give a friend in your exact situation? And why does that solution feel so much easier to see for someone else? The answer reveals the clear path forward. Once you have granted yourself the same compassionate distance you so freely offer to others, your ideal wise person holds a key to unshakable composure. The Stoics practiced a powerful mental ritual by constantly asking one simple question: what would the sage do? This was not about idolizing another person, but about projecting the very best version of yourself forward in time to guide your actions in the present. They called this ideal figure the Sophos, a person of perfect wisdom and virtue who always acts with reason and integrity. When you are under pressure and your own judgment feels clouded by emotion, you can invoke this inner sage as a moral compass. The historical figure Cato the Younger was often looked upon by his contemporaries as a living model of such rigid principle. He was known for his unwavering commitment to justice, even when it meant standing alone against the entire power of Rome. In your own moments of pressure, you are not trying to be Cato, but you are asking what principle he would uphold. Is it courage in the face of fear? Is it justice when a shortcut is tempting? Is it temperance when you are driven by anger? Your sage is a mirror for your own highest potential. When facing a difficult decision, what single virtue would your ideal sage prioritize above all else? Is it courage to speak an uncomfortable truth, or perhaps patience to listen before you react? By giving that virtue a name, you transform an abstract challenge into a concrete test of character, and your path forward suddenly becomes clear. Every action you take is rooted in a fundamental pull toward something or a push away from something else. This is the engine of your life, and the Stoics believed its mastery was the very essence of ethics. They called this the discipline of desire and aversion, a ritual of constantly examining and realigning what you are drawn to and what you recoil from. The goal was brutally simple: to desire only what is virtuous and within your control, and to feel aversion only toward what is vicious. The philosopher Epictetus laid this out as his central doctrine, stating that the chief task in life is to identify and separate matters so that you can clearly say, "External things are not up to me, but my choices and actions are." For a Stoic warrior, this meant a complete recalibration of his inner compass. He would train himself to desire courage over comfort, duty over recognition, and self-control over pleasure. His aversion was not pointed at injury or poverty, but at cowardice, deceit, and injustice. Picture a young soldier offered a chance to stay in the relative safety of the camp while his comrades march into a risky battle. His raw, untrained desire screams for safety, for the comfort of staying behind. His aversion is screaming at the prospect of pain and death. But if he has practiced this ritual, he pauses. He examines these impulses. He realigns his primary desire toward acting with honor and fulfilling his duty to his legion. His aversion then shifts, and he now feels a stronger repulsion toward the thought of living with the shame of having abandoned his brothers. He chooses the battle not because he is fearless, but because his deepest desire has been deliberately pointed toward virtue. This is the daily mental work, the constant sorting of your impulses. So turn this question inward. Is your primary desire for things within your control, like acting with integrity, or is it fixated on externals like a specific outcome, a particular reward, or the approval of others? When your deepest wants are anchored in your own character, you build a composure that no outside event can ever shake. The battle is won before it is fought. This was the core belief behind the Stoic ritual of preparation, a deliberate practice of arming the mind for the day ahead, much like a warrior carefully dons his armor before stepping onto the field. The Stoics understood that composure is not found in the heat of the moment, but forged in the quiet solitude of the morning. Marcus Aurelius began his days with written reflections, reminding himself of the nature of the world and the character of people he would likely encounter. He was not hoping for a good day, he was preparing for a real one, setting his mental defenses before any challenge could even appear. This ritual transforms your entire approach to pressure. Instead of being ambushed by stress, you meet it at the gate, fully prepared. Think of visualizing a difficult meeting you have later. You do not just dread it, you actively walk through it in your mind. You see yourself listening calmly to criticism, You hear your own voice responding with reason instead of emotion. You mentally rehearse maintaining your inner citadel even if others become agitated. By the time you actually enter that room, you have already lived through its toughest moments, and your calm is not luck, it is by design. So what 5-minute mental preparation can you incorporate into your morning to set a composed tone for the day? It could be as simple as sitting in silence and asking yourself what potential challenges lie ahead and how your best self would choose to navigate them. This small, consistent act of readiness is how you stop reacting to your day and start directing it. The river of time carries everything away. Marcus Aurelius wrote of this constant flow, reminding himself that all things are born to change and perish, a truth the Stoic warrior met not with despair, but with a sobering sense of liberation. This is the ritual of accepting impermanence, the active reflection on the temporary nature of every person, every object, and every moment. By staring directly into this reality, you systematically cultivate a profound non-attachment, a state of mind that does not love things less, but depends on them less for its own peace. Think of the care a child puts into building an elaborate sandcastle on the beach. She decorates it with shells and digs a deep moat. For that afternoon, it is her entire world. But as the tide inevitably rolls in, she does not scream or fight the ocean. She watches with a quiet understanding as the waves gently claim her creation, smoothing the sand back into a blank canvas. She enjoyed the building immensely, but she was never under the illusion that the castle was permanent. This is the mindset you are training to adopt toward your own life. Your achievements, your possessions, even your most cherished relationships are all like that sandcastle, beautiful, meaningful, and utterly temporary. The practice is not to stop building, but to build without the white-knuckled fear of losing what you have made. It is the difference between enjoying a beautiful vase and being so terrified of it breaking that you can never truly appreciate its beauty. Clinging tightly to anything transient is the root of so much anxiety because you are trying to command the tide to stop. So bring this into your own life. Think of one thing you are tightly clinging to right now, a specific outcome you are desperate for, a possession you are afraid to lose, or a relationship you are trying to freeze in a perfect moment. Now ask yourself, how would holding it more loosely change your emotional state? If you could see it as a temporary gift rather than a permanent possession, what fear would you release? This is the ultimate freedom the Stoic warrior sought, the peace that comes from building your sandcastles with full dedication, while always keeping a loving eye on the horizon and the coming tide. A triumphant victory can be as dangerous to your composure as a devastating defeat. While the Stoics are famous for their resilience in hardship, they devoted equal attention to a ritual for managing success, a deliberate practice of equanimity in the face of good fortune. This was the conscious act of moderating your reactions to positive events, not to suppress joy, but to inoculate yourself against the intoxication of hubris and the inevitable crash of future disappointment. Seneca wrote extensively on the fickleness of fortune, warning that she gives her gifts with the same randomness with which she takes them away. He advised that when we are carried aloft by success, we must whisper to ourselves that this too shall pass. Picture a Roman general returning to Rome for a magnificent triumph, the highest honor a commander could receive. He rides through streets lined with cheering crowds, showered with accolades and spoils of war. An ordinary man might let this adoration swell his head, believing himself a god among mortals. But a Stoic warrior, even in this moment of supreme achievement, remains tethered to reality. He might have a slave standing behind him in his chariot, whose sole job was to whisper in his ear, "Remember, you are mortal." This was a physical enactment of the mental ritual. The general allows himself to feel the genuine satisfaction of a job well done. but he consciously refuses to let his sense of self-worth become dependent on the roaring crowd. He knows that tomorrow the crowds will disperse and his true character will be all that remains. How can you celebrate an achievement while consciously reminding yourself of its fleeting nature? Perhaps you take a quiet moment after a success to acknowledge the role of luck and the support of others. Maybe you reflect on the countless unseen factors that had to align for this to happen. This is not about dimming your joy, but about grounding it in a truth that prevents a painful fall later. By tempering your highs, you build a life of stable ground, not a roller coaster of external validation. Your words carry a weight far beyond their sound. For the Stoic warrior, speech was not a casual stream of consciousness, but a disciplined ritual of truth and economy known as parrhesia. This was the practice of frank, honest, and concise communication, a way to conserve vital mental energy and project unshakable clarity even when chaos reigned. Epictetus was brutally direct on this point, stating that you should mostly be silent, speaking only when necessary, and using few words. He warned that excessive talk drains your spirit and muddies your purpose. Picture a commander in the midst of a raging battle. He does not shout long, emotional speeches to his lieutenants. He does not curse the enemy or lament the situation. His orders are stark, factual, and stripped of all superfluous emotion. Hold the line, flank left, sound the advance. Each word is a deliberate action, designed to cut through the noise and be instantly understood. This verbal discipline is a force multiplier. It calms those who hear it because clarity in the speaker breeds confidence in the listener. In your own life, this ritual transforms stressful exchanges. A difficult conversation with a partner or a high-stakes presentation at work becomes less daunting when you focus not on impressing others, but on conveying the essential truth with precision. Verbosity is often a mask for insecurity, a cloud of words hoping to obscure a lack of substance. Parrhesia is the courage to remove the mask and stand firmly in the simple, powerful truth. So before your next important conversation, pause and ask yourself this: how can you practice being both courageously truthful and ruthlessly succinct? A true fortress of the mind must be built upon the foundation of the body. Even the most disciplined Stoic warrior knew that a racing heart and shallow breath could betray the strongest will, flooding the mind with a chemical tide of panic before reason could even enter the fray. This is why they cultivated a ritual of physical grounding, using the most fundamental rhythm of life, the breath, as an immediate anchor to the present moment. While ancient texts do not spell out breathing exercises as a formal doctrine, the entire Stoic project was about returning to the sovereignty of the here and now, and nothing pulls you back from the precipice of fear faster than a conscious breath. It is the physical key to the mental citadel. Think of a soldier waiting for the command to charge. His body is a coiled spring of adrenaline, every instinct screaming for action. In that critical pause, he does not try to philosophize his fear away. He simply drops his awareness into the sensation of air filling his lungs and leaving his body. He takes one breath, then another, feeling his feet solidly on the earth. This simple act does not eliminate the danger, but it creates a pocket of stillness within the storm. It calms the nervous system just enough for his trained mind, his ruling reason, to take command from his raw impulses. You have this same power available to you in any moment of rising stress. The next time your phone buzzes with an alarming notification, or a colleague says something that triggers a flash of anger, the instruction is not to think but first to breathe. Do not react, simply take 3 conscious breaths. Inhale and notice the pause at the top. Exhale and feel the release of tension. Those 3 breaths are a moat you dig around your inner citadel, a space that stops the enemy of raw emotion from storming the gates. In that brief sanctuary, you reclaim your power to choose, so the challenge is immediate and profoundly practical. Can you use your very next breath as a deliberate pause to choose your response? The Stoics saw the study of nature not as a dry academic exercise, but as a vital ritual for grounding the soul. They called this physics, the deep investigation into the rational structure of the universe itself. For a warrior, this was not about naming stars or predicting weather. It was about learning the ultimate rulebook of reality. By understanding the natural laws that govern everything from the growth of an oak tree to the fall of an empire, he could stop seeing events as random acts of malice or favor and start seeing them as part of a coherent, intelligible whole. This philosophical system taught that the cosmos is permeated by a divine reason, a logos that orders all things. When you internalize this view, your entire relationship with adversity shifts. A storm is no longer a personal attack from the gods designed to ruin your day. It is a complex interplay of wind, water, and temperature, a necessary expression of the natural world. The ship you were on sinks not because you are cursed, but because the immense power of the storm overwhelmed its wooden frame. This is not a cold, heartless observation. It is a profound liberation from taking everything personally. Your personal setbacks operate on the same principle. That sudden job loss, that unexpected rejection, that project that fell apart, these are not cosmic punishments aimed specifically at you. They are the result of 1,000 intersecting causes and effects, market forces, other people's decisions, timing, all unfolding according to the natural flow of events. When you view your hardship through this lens of natural cause and effect, you drain it of its venomous sting. The emotional narrative of being a victim, of being singled out for suffering, simply evaporates. You are left not with a personal tragedy, but with a factual situation to be addressed, a natural occurrence like a storm that you must now navigate. So how does this change the emotional impact? It transfers the weight from your heart to your mind. The energy you once spent on asking why is this happening to me is now freed up for the only question that matters: what will I do about it? How can viewing your most recent personal setback not as a targeted attack, but as a natural event in a chain of cause and effect, lessen its power to wound you? A warrior polishing his armor was not just maintaining equipment, he was honing his mind. For the Stoic, every single action, no matter how small or routine, presented a direct opportunity to practice virtue. This is the ritual of mindful action, the deliberate choice to infuse your entire day with full attention and clear intention. It is about cultivating a profound presence that turns the mundane into the meaningful. The Greeks had a word for this perfect action, katorthoma, an act performed with excellence and in complete harmony with your rational nature. Think of that soldier carefully cleaning and polishing each piece of his gear. His hand moves with a steady, rhythmic focus. He is not distracted by thoughts of tomorrow's battle or yesterday's training. His entire world in that moment is the feel of the cloth in his hand, the gleam of the metal as it emerges from beneath the grime. He is not just preparing his armor, he is practicing the discipline of focus, the virtue of diligence, and the commitment to his duty. This is katorthoma in its simplest form, right action performed for its own sake. The quality of the polishing becomes a reflection of his character. Your own life is filled with identical opportunities. The daily commute, washing the dishes, responding to a simple email, each of these can be a training ground for presence. You can rush through them, seeing them as obstacles to your real life, or you can choose to inhabit them fully. When you do, you reclaim those lost moments and build a mind that is fully engaged, not scattered and reactive. So what routine task can you transform into a practice of mindfulness today? Could it be focusing completely on the sensation of warm water while washing your hands, or giving your full attention to the person speaking to you without mentally drafting your response? This is how you stop living on autopilot and start building a life of deliberate, virtuous action, one mindful moment at a time. The ultimate pressure test was not on the battlefield, but in the quiet room where a Stoic met their end. Their entire philosophy was a preparation for this single moment, a final examination of the composure they had spent a lifetime building. When the Roman Emperor Nero ordered his former tutor Seneca to take his own life, Seneca did not plead or panic. He received the news with a calm acceptance, turning to his grieving friends and reminding them of the lessons they had learned together. As his lifeblood flowed from his veins, his final words were not of fear, but of concern for others, dictating his last thoughts with a steady mind. Similarly, the senator Epictetus, condemned by the same tyrant, spent his final hours in profound discussion with his friends. When the time came, he calmly opened his own arteries, offering a libation to Jupiter the Liberator, a symbolic act declaring his soul's release from a corrupt world. These were not theatrical suicides, but the ultimate, lived expression of their principles. Every ritual we have explored converged in these final breaths. The Premeditation of Evils had stripped death of its surprise. The discipline of Assent had refused to label it a catastrophe. The view from above placed their single life within the vast cosmos. They demonstrated that true courage is not the absence of fear, but the will to act with virtue despite its presence. Their legacy was sealed not by how they lived in times of ease, but by the grace and intention with which they departed. So now turn this question inward and let it settle deeply. If your composure were to be judged by your final moments, what would you want your legacy to be? This entire system of forgotten rituals is not a collection of ancient curiosities, but a practical toolkit for building an unshakable core from the inside out. You have journeyed from the deliberate confrontation of your deepest fears with the Premeditatio Malorum, to the liberating focus of the Dichotomy of Control, and finally to the ultimate embrace of your own path with Amor, Fati. These practices are the architecture of a mind that cannot be shaken, a mind that meets pressure not as a victim, but as a prepared warrior. The goal was never to eliminate feeling, but to master your response, to find the profound freedom that exists between an event and your reaction to it. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus, born a slave, understood this freedom better than anyone. He offered a single, piercing question that cuts to the heart of the entire philosophy. Simply ask, is this within my power? If it is not, then quietly tell yourself, it is nothing to me. This is the ultimate liberation, the realization that your peace is your own to command, regardless of the storms raging outside the walls of your inner citadel. The work begins not with grand gestures, but with a single, deliberate choice. This week, do not try to master them all. Choose just one ritual. Will it be the evening review of your actions or the morning preparation for the day ahead? Will you practice pausing before you speak or consciously breathing to ground yourself in a moment of stress? The path to fearless composure is built one intentional practice at a time. In the comments below, share which single ritual resonates most with you right now, and let us build a community of modern warriors, all forging our own inner citadels, one day